Hello and welcome to this episode of Breaking Financial Chains. I'm so happy that you're here. Today's episode is all about creating a monthly financial check-in routine. So super practical, intended to help take the emotion out of any of the practical side of managing your money, all around intentional financial planning and lifestyle alignment. Welcome to Breaking Financial Chains, where we combine practical money guidance with emotional healing to help you break free from financial limitations. I'm Tanya Riverson, your financial wingwoman. So quite often it's all well and good talking to people and thinking about the emotional side of money, but sometimes we just need a to-do list and a checklist that we can tick off and know that it's done and feel super accomplished. I myself am a huge fan of the checklist and the to-do list, and if I do something that wasn't on my to-do list in the first place, you can bet your bottom dollar that I'm going to go and write that down on my list just so that I can cross it off. So sometimes we just need practical, tell me what to do and I'm going to make sure that it's in place. So if this is what you're all about, then this episode is a bit of you, absolutely. So what we want to set the scene for, so imagine now, financial calm doesn't come from avoidance. I think that's probably a statement that we can all agree with. It doesn't come from not dealing with your money or not dealing with the reality that we're faced with. What most people have, it's not a money problem. What most people have is a money visibility problem. We're assuming that things are going to work out all right in the end. We're assuming that we're going to win the lottery or some magic bean or key is going to drop into our lap and we'll all of a sudden have all of our money stuff figured out. We don't know exactly what's coming in, we don't know what's going out, we don't know where things are quietly drifting, and that then becomes the problem. It's the small consistent money leaks that we're not plugging and we're not dealing with. So what happens in that situation is that money becomes something that we react to instead of something that we lead. And it's that creates stress. Sometimes just deciding what you're going to do and seeing if that works is enough of an action plan. But uncertainty is expensive. It's expensive emotionally because of that 2 o'clock wake up bolt in the middle of the night that's making you worry about not having things in place. And it's expensive financially because if we don't put our money to work for us, it's certainly not going to provide us any benefit later in life. So I suppose the truth is that financial peace rarely comes from one big get my life together moment. I now have this knowledge, everything is saved. Sadly, it comes from the unsexy, regular, boring, consistent action plans and awareness. And this is why I'm such a big believer of a monthly financial check-in. Not because it's glamorous, but because it works. It creates clarity before chaos, and it changes the way that we then respond, react and plan ahead for our money. It changes the way we feel about our money, and sometimes just those small positive steps and those small actions that we take can help to unintentionally rewrite those money stories that we've been carrying for years, because we can show our brain that we can do positive things with money and we can make good decisions with money without even realising it was something that we believed we couldn't. So following those good habits and those intentional steps is the first thing that we can do to move in a different direction if it's not something that we've intentionally done before. So if it's so great to have a financial check-in, why don't we all do it? Why do people avoid financial check-ins? Well, let's be honest, most people do not look forward to sitting down with their bank statements. This isn't something that might sound like your idea of a good time. It might feel boring, it might feel overwhelming, it might feel really uncomfortable, it might feel guilt-inducing, it might feel like something future you is quite happy to put off until next week and next month and further kicking that can down the line. Especially if money already feels emotionally loaded. So some of the classic lines that I hear when talking to people, particularly in coaching sessions, is I'll look when things are better I just need to earn more money, and then I'll have something to play with, and then I'll have something to look at, rather than constantly worrying. But clarity is what helps things get better. Understanding where you are right now and being able to make conscious, intentional decisions and choices is what will help push you in a more positive direction. Avoidance keeps people stuck, essentially. So a financial check-in is not a punishment. This is about self-respect. This is about understanding where you are and being intentionally responsive to money rather than reacting to a crisis. So what a financial check-in actually is, it's not a full budgeting spreadsheet marathon, although it can be that. If that's what floats your boat, absolutely fill your boots. It's not a 3-hour hit yourself over the head with a giant stick session. It's simply a regular appointment with your financial life. In the same way as you might put in a dentist appointment every 6 months, or you book your car in for a service every 12 months, you don't expect your car to continually run without being checked over or sticking some oil in the engine, because that's a surefire way to kill your car, right? It's the same with this. A moment to pause and ask yourself, financially, what happened this month? What needs my attention? What decisions do I need to make next? So think of it like checking your dashboard while driving. Think of it looking at what those warning lights are, except you might need to do a little bit of the work yourself. We don't wait for the engine to fail. You stay aware as you go, and that's financial leadership. So what should we include in our regular monthly financial check-ins? We should look at income review. So salary, you might know what that's going to be. That might be consistent like clockwork. If you're self-employed, that might be a different story. It might be looking at what's coming into your business and what you're then able to transfer to your home account. If you're paying yourself the same every month, then that's going to be exactly what you expected. But what other things came in? Were there any gaps? Were there any delays? What are the patterns that are worth noticing in relation to income? And then we do the same on the spending side. So where did your money actually go in the month? Not where you thought it went, not where you set an intention to only spend £100 a week in Tesco or Aldi or wherever you shop. Where did it actually go? How many top-up shops did you do in between? How many takeaways did you get on top of your weekly shopping budget? How many stops to Boots or Superdrug or Pound Shop or B&M did you make in the meantime to top up things? And then you bought more things because they were an absolute bargain and they would save you money in the long term. But what did you actually spend? And this is where the truth lives, rather than the delusional place of where you think it went. Where did it actually go? How much of what you're bringing in are you spending every month? Where is it going? Does it need topping up? Is it enough? We also want to be looking at upcoming expenses. So birthdays, school trips, renewals of insurance, and such like that you might pay annually that aren't factored into your monthly budget necessarily. So if we're only looking at our bank statements, things that aren't paid by direct debit equally might not be something that you notice or pick up on. So we need to have an awareness of when those are coming out. Holidays, repairs, servicing, all of those things, when are they due? You need to create a calendar for yourself so that you're not blindsided by the bill that you weren't expecting. And that's without any repair work that might be needed. Making sure you've got your service and your MOTs booked in for the cars as an example. Any potential, possible, predictable expenses shouldn't feel like an emergency. We know that these things are coming up, so we need to factor them in somewhere. So even if it's just a case of making a list at the back of the calendar or a note on your phone somewhere as a reminder, super, super important to give you information in which to be able to plan. Aside from the expenses, we want to also be looking at savings. So what are our goals? Did money move towards your goals this month? Did you manage to put the amount you wanted into savings? Do you have an emergency fund? What about debt reduction if you're actively working on that? How much smaller is your debt now than it was a month ago, 3 months ago, 6 months ago? What are your investments doing? What are your future plans? Progress matters, and it's okay if that needle moves only a singular amount. Provided that needle is moving, it's the long-term impact of those savings and goals that we want to be keeping an eye on, not earth-shattering progress 30 days at a time. The one thing that I often see missed off practical checklists, which is a very practical thing to do, is an emotional check-in. How did money feel this month? Did you notice a panic? Did you notice we really haven't made enough provision for X, Y, and Z? Did it feel stressful? Did it feel calm? Did you try and bury your head in the sand? Did you feel empowered with any of the money decisions that you're working towards? Because your emotional relationship with money matters too, and noticing how you feel around it can make a big difference to how you then treat that in the future. Maybe just a few words, maybe just something that you reflect on yourself in a journal, or you think about whilst out on a walk, or you're walking the dog, or hanging the washing out, or whatever it is that you might do. Making it something that is a regular occurrence, literally setting a date in the diary to be something that you do as a ritual, and ritual the hell out of it as well. Let's not treat this as a punishment. Make yourself your favourite drink, or cup of tea, or a glass of wine, or whatever that might be, to sit down and work through your checklist. Light a candle, light some incense, put some chilled music on. Make the environment nice and calm. Do it when the kids are in bed, or when they're tied up with clubs or whatever it is. Do it first thing in the morning before everybody else gets up. Whenever is the best time for you, and make that a regular occurrence. If your check-ins feel like shame, you'll avoid it. So we want to try and change the energy. Favourite coffee, quiet space, nice notebook, all of those things that make you feel like it's a little bit like you're treating yourself. Because you're giving yourself knowledge for which you can make future decisions about. So this is super important, and you owe it to yourself to want to do that. Because this isn't about catching yourself out or finding mistakes and punishing yourself. It's about staying connected to that financial journey that we're all on, that we all need to continue to make. Money responds better to attention than avoidance, so we can divert it intentionally rather than try and patch a problem after the fact, when things perhaps don't go to plan. And what I often see in terms of common mistakes, firstly, is only checking when something is wrong. So there is an unexpected bill, oh Christ, what we're going to do now, kind of thing, and then scrambling to find where that money could be pulled from to be able to cover the bill. Because all that does is create fear, whereas consistency builds calm. So if that is something that is expected, that could potentially be predictable, then that's something that we need to be providing for on a regular basis to completely take the panic out of that situation. Making the ritual too complicated is another thing that I see, and is a very common mistake. You do not need 17 spreadsheets with multicoloured tabs on. You just need a short checklist that you consistently work through on a regular basis, and you are honest with yourself. Also, another common mistake that I see is using it as a stick to hit yourself over the head with, and using it to criticise yourself, because this whole exercise is not about how badly you did. It is, what can I learn from this? What small tweak can I make to ensure that next month I feel better about it, or I feel like I made an empowered change which keeps me closer to my goal? Awareness ultimately is powerful, and that's what we want. We want to give you a tool that you can tell yourself you're going to do, you actually stick to it. This is a promise that you're keeping for yourself, that future you is going to thank you for, and think of the amazing example that you're also setting for your kids and those people around you. But what is more important than setting that example is about why this changes confidence. Confidence doesn't come from having loads of money. It comes from knowing where you stand with what you have. And because you might perceive yourself to have less than someone else, that doesn't mean you're starting in second place or you're going to finish last. It's about having the honesty and awareness of where you are right now and what you do next. It's about those next steps being informed decisions rather than blindly stumbling through the dark, doing what you've always done because you don't know any different. Someone with average income and strong awareness often feels safer than someone with high income and complete chaos. They might know that more money is going to come in, but they also don't know when that situation is going to change. Confidence comes from clarity, and it's such a simple thing that we often overlook. I often talk to clients about them feeling as though they need more knowledge, and they're thinking about investing in an investing course or paying for high-end advice or high-end coaching. It doesn't necessarily have to be that way, although that can be helpful. The monthly check-in builds self-trust. This is about awareness of where you want to go, and no self-help book, no course, no coach can tell you what that is. You have to first be honest with yourself instead of expecting someone else to be able to tell you and do that for you. So what we're wanting to do is teach your brain, I can handle this. And that confidence that comes from that knowledge is what will help you make that next decision, is what will help you build up your first emergency fund pot if you've never had that before. It matters so much more than people realise, building that self-trust and knowing that you have the answers all along and you don't need to rely on anybody else, or buy another book or follow what someone else is telling you that you should be doing. And my top tip in relation to a monthly financial check-in is to make this a family habit, especially if you have a partner. Do this together, or maybe make part of that ritual something that you do together. Some of that can be something you do on your own, but you do part of that together. Or you have 2 dates, one for yourself and one as a couple, and then share that with your family. But a short money conversation could create shared responsibilities. If it's not something that you've taken any responsibility for as a household or as a family, you can show that you're interested to do it from a sharing the burden perspective. It's not necessarily about wanting to clear out the accounts and run away. It helps with fewer resentments, it helps with better planning. It's about having a stronger financial partnership in a long-term relationship or in a marriage. Keeping money in secret or money living in secret is only contributing to the taboo around money. Money should live in communication. This should be something that we share and we model for those around us, and not necessarily just our kids, but for our friends as well, for family members and siblings, and setting that example of it doesn't need to be shameful and secretive and something that we talk about and whisper about in corners. This should be something that we share our tips with people around us and with our loved ones, because if we benefit and they can benefit, we all benefit. Even a 20-minute monthly conversation can change the emotional temperature of a household, particularly when money can feel so emotionally charged at the other end of the scale. So what I would really like or love for you to take away from listening to this episode, not just a few examples of what you can include in your own monthly financial check-in, but you don't need to be good with money in inverted commas to start doing this. You become good with money by paying attention. The becoming good is an outcome from positive actions. A monthly financial check-in is one of the simplest habits with the biggest long-term impact, because wealth is rarely built through dramatic moments and lottery wins and huge windfalls. It's built through awareness, and it's built through those small incremental habits that we carry on day to day, week in and month out. it's made decision by decision, and that's usually quietly and consistently. And that's where peace lives when it comes to our finances. So, as you'll know, I love to pose a reflective question for you to think about or journal around. Today's reflective question is, if I gave myself 30 minutes this month to check in with my money, what would I most need to look at first? Maybe just do one thing this month, see how you get on, and maybe start building from there. I would love to hear your realizations, and thank you so much for joining me. I will see you on the next episode.
Thank you for joining me today on Breaking Financial Chains. Remember, you have the power to transform your relationship with money one step at a time. If this episode helped you, please subscribe and leave a review to help others find their path to financial freedom. I'm Tanya, your financial wing woman, and I'll see you next week.